All right, welcome to another episode of Medicine Mondays. I am yours truly, Dr. Pierre, your favorite board-certified internist, host of Medicine Mondays, the Empire for Better Health series, as well as our other YouTube channel, Dr. Pierre's Health Checks. And do not forget to check out our new YouTube series, Real Physician Reacts. That's where I kind of get on there and give my live, reaction to social media videos that kind of come across my timeline. So this week we are on the first episode of the month, and if you caught last first episode, which again is like 5 episodes away, we do a more business focused discussion. We don't really get into the health topic, like, and that's for the rest of the month. But like the first podcast episode of the month, really just to kind of get everyone in the mood of getting their business health together. I kind of put on my business related hat again as the CEO of Pierre Medical Consulting. Not only do I kind of provide health related content like I do here and on YouTube and on Instagram and podcasts, but I also help business professionals, health professionals really kind of work this landscape of digital media. And I have a lot of business related expertise on that standpoint there. So this week we are going to be talking about the value ladder. And if this is the first time you heard about the value ladder, you are in luck, because if you are a business, you need one, right? It's not even like a maybe you should have one. You need a value ladder, especially if you want to help retain customers, especially if you want to help gain and increase as much profits as possible. And when we're going to go through a few different examples of value ladders today, and I think it may kind of shock a lot of people that some of their favorite stores and products and businesses that they use probably every single day has convenient value ladders that help move them up along the process. So if you're watching this on my YouTube page, obviously you're going to be able to see the presentation. If you're my podcast listener, please check the description that are in the show notes. That way you can kind of, especially if you want my PowerPoint, so you can kind of follow along as well too. Because again, I think it's a really good one. Like I said, it's the value ladder. It's an important aspect of business, and I think once everyone kind of understands like the process, I think you'll understand why. If you don't have one, you're gonna have one today. So let's go ahead and share our screen. All right. So again, we're talking about the importance of the value ladder. So again, I just want to kind of give a kind of introduction on myself. Obviously, if this is your first time listening or watching me, so you kind of understand who is Dr. Pierre and why is he even talking about like business related stuff. So I am obviously a board certified internist. I'm an academic hospitalist physician, national speaker, health education, and content creator. Right. So that's what I like to do in the form of blogging, in the form of podcast hosting, in the form of obviously the video blogs if you're watching this on my YouTube channel. But more importantly, right, and especially when I talk about the kind of CEO of Pierre Medical Consulting, like what is Pierre Medical Consulting? For me, it's a health promotion / education company that helps not only bridge the gap of education for patients across the world, but also help bridge the gap for health professionals wanting to kind of learn the digital landscape of social media. So again, health education promotion company, business consulting, something I love doing. Again, it produces my podcast, produces obviously Medicine Mondays and Real Physician Reacts. And it does some professional consulting for like digital products and promotions, as well as again on the medical side, right? Like I am a medical director on a few different venues, right? So again, just encompasses a lot. With the Pierre Medical Consulting is definitely something that it was something I actually started right out of a little bit out of residency, right? Because I kind of understood that, what the importance of being, a business professional on top of being a physician was going to be extremely important. So let's talk about the value ladder and why is it so important, right? So question, what is a value ladder? It consists of a range of products. It consists of a series of offers that increase in price and value, right? And the reason why I want to make sure we stress those two aspects, because when I talk to a lot of my professionals and, they're entrepreneurs, small business operators that are trying to, accelerate their business, I always ask kind of these series of questions. Want to see if they have a value ladder, or if they do have one, is it something that needs to be scaled upon? So understanding that when you get into business, any type of business, you're going to have a pool of customers, and understanding that the pool of customers that you have, may start at the lower rung of the ladder, but may not end up at the higher rung, right? And we'll go through the kind of the process of what it means as far as lower rung and higher rung and why that's important for a business. It gives business owners the opportunity to maximize the spend of every single customer. So again, when I think about a business, any type of business, you could just pick and choose. When I think about a business, having one that, like, yes, I have customer A, and customer A may spend $1 with me. But like the goal is, how can I make customer A either spend $1 with me all the time or end up spending $5 with me, $10 with me? And that's why you need to have a value ladder, because if you don't have these, again, range of products, if you don't have these series of offers that helps the client and customer move along, then they can't spend $5 or $10 with you. Maybe they spend the $1 and then that's all they have. And I always think of it as my client's journey. So how am I going to take whoever my client is, my patient, whatever that person is, and help move them along my business and help fulfill all the issues and promises that they need? So this is kind of an example of what I would think about when we think about the value ladder, right? So again, you have this lower rung of the value ladder where, again, the price is typically lower. It's kind of what I always think about it as the entry level aspect. And then you're just kind of moving people along. And when I think about as we move people along the ladder, we always, and as a business, we always have to understand that when we talk about high value clients and versus our non-high value clients, we understand that every client we have isn't necessarily going to be a high value, aka VIP. Let's think about it. If you're going to a club, right? If you're going to a club, yes, a lot of people go through kind of the regular line, and then there's some people who do the VIP line. But if I'm a club owner, if I don't ever offer the VIP line, that's revenue I'm losing, right? That's business I'm losing out on, right? So that's why it's just always important whenever you're doing any type of business structure to have the ability to kind of help move patients along that journey. Because when you're just starting out as a business and you're looking for that dream client and you're trying to solve that dream client's problem, this is what it typically presents, right? Your client before you, they're confused, they're lost, they're unsure, they're unclear, they're perplexed, they're disoriented, and they're bewildered, right? Like, because they have a problem, but they need someone to help solve it. And they don't really know how to solve it. They just know that they need someone to help solve it. Let's think about this in the example of being hungry. If I am hungry and I know I'm hungry, but maybe there's no food in the house, I need to go somewhere where I can solve that problem of being hungry. And that's where you have all of these, fast food restaurants and grocery stores and all these other places here to help solve that particular problem. But if I'm hungry, but I have an appetite for a certain type of meal, guess what? Like, yes, I can have 1,000 different options, but like if I only want, Peruvian food, like I'm only going to go to a Peruvian place that serves that type of food, right? So that's where you as the business owner has to come in and say like, okay, I have a solution for my client's problem, but I need to make sure that they know that I'm here to kind of move them along their journey. Because once your client, and I always think about the journey, right? Once your client or your customer meets you, their journey should be solved with clarity. It should be able to build them some confidence. And they should have a mindset shift that says, hey, you know what? Like, I found my Peruvian restaurant. Like I'm no longer starving. Like, I know exactly what I want to eat on the menu. Like, a lot of things should change once your client meets you. And when I talk to business owners, a lot of times they have trouble meeting their clients' expectations because they don't know where their clients' expectations need to go. And at the end of the day, like, you need the results, right? I need to be able to say like, yep, I've got the results. I was hungry. I was at home. I didn't have food at home. I went outside. I had an appetite for Peruvian meals. And then now I'm eating my Peruvian meal, right? So the results are there. So this talk about some of the benefits of the value ladder. For the business owner, it helps build trust. And in this day and age, especially when it comes to social media, there are so many different options on what you can partake in, right? Like, again, I'm a health content creator, right? So there are so many different options under the health content space that you can create. You don't necessarily have to be watching me or listening to me, but like something I've done has allowed me to build that trust where I'm the person you listen to when it comes to topics like this. It helps also build loyalty, right? When I have a value ladder and you can see the value ladder that I'm presenting for, my customer and my clients, aka my lunch and learn community, like I help establish that trust and then build that loyalty that allows you to move up that ladder that may sometimes be scary for others. More importantly, it helps increase the ability to retain the customer. I think this is probably the more important aspect of it all, because if you talk to any business owner, it's one thing to spend money to get a new customer, but it's more important to retain that customer, because if you can retain a customer, it is much cheaper than having to go and pay for a new one, right? And that's just kind of marketing one-on-one. Like, I may spend money to get people in the door to see my product, but as long as I'm doing what I need to do, like, I can kind of keep and maintain, right, that customer, right? Like, and that's really the goal at hand. Also, guiding the customer's journey. Again, a lot of times our customers are confused, they're perplexed, they don't know what they want to do. But if you're able to solve that riddle for them, if you're able to give them the right direction, all of a sudden your customers love you, right? And again, like I said, if I can solve, like say you come to me, say, hey, I'm listening to Dr. Pierre because I know he always gives me more up-to-date factual information on health-related content, boom, all of a sudden now I've gained your trust, I've gained your loyalty, and now you stay with me when I continue on to my newer adventures. So about creating your value ladder, because this is a question I get a lot. How do I create a value ladder? Like what do I need to do? So you have to ask yourself, what is your purpose, right? And of course, as a business owner, you may be thinking like, well, I want to sell t-shirts, or I want to sell this product, or I want to, provide this service. But you have to ask yourself, what is the purpose that you're doing it for, right? Because if you don't understand the purpose of your business, right, then the purpose of your value ladder will never come into fruition. For example, when I think about my mission statement for Pierre Medical Consulting, like my verbiage is essentially Pierre Medical Consulting is a health and promotions company here to help patients establish a more efficient and beneficial way to achieve their best efficient health status and empower themselves for better health. Right. And that is my goal, right? Like, I want to make sure that the health information that you see around you is so broken down and so simplified for you that you're able to get their health goals that you're looking for. So you got to have that mission statement. Who are you serving, right? Understanding who is your dream client, who's your dream customer is going to be extremely important, because once you understand who your dream customer is and who you're serving, then you're able to move them up the ladder with your offers that you can provide. What is a result that you can provide? Again, Pierre Medical Consulting, I can help you empower yourself for better health, right? Like, that is the result that I'm looking to provide with the services that I have. What is the opportunity your business provides, right? So this is essentially, how can I, Pierre Medical Consulting, or whatever my business, how can I provide the results that I'm wanting my clients to achieve? So you have to be able to, these are just very poignant questions that you have to be able to answer. Because if you as the business owner can't answer those questions, and you as a business owner can't expect customers to come to you, and if the customers won't come to you, they're not going to build that trust, they're not going to build that loyalty, and then they're not going to be able to move up the value ladder, right? So very, very important for you to be able to kind of establish, that aspect of your value ladder. So I want to go over some examples of the value ladder that we see on a day-to-day basis that we may not have ever thought was a value ladder of sorts. But especially once you start to think about what the process was of you becoming a customer and then moving up, then it will make all the sense of the world. So I'm going to focus on 3 companies. Again, every company has a value ladder, but I wanted to focus on three companies: Disney World, McDonald's, and Apple, right? Like, if you're listening to this or you're watching this, you are more likely going to be affected by at least one of these companies, right? If not multiple, like if not all 3, but one way, shape, or form, you are affected by these 3 companies. And I think once you understand like just how these three companies, establish value ladders within their business, then it'll make sense to you kind of moving forward. So let's think about Disney, right? And when we think about the value ladder, we always say like, all right, how do I move a person from my lower ring, which is typically the lowest value, lowest price, all the way up? So let's think about the Disney parks, right? So let's think about Disney in general, Walt Disney in general. So the first and foremost thing is the Disney Channel, right? That is a channel that comes on your cable, especially your cable network TV, cartoons, and it just shows cartoons and entertains your children 24/7. Especially if you're a parent out there, you are fully aware of the power of Disney and Disney Junior and Disney XD and all of those Disneys. And then as you move up Disney's value ladder, now like, hey, you know what? You've been watching our cartoons and TV shows for a while. Hey, how about you check out our movies, right? So boom. So now all of a sudden, I go from watching TV from the comfort of my home. So now I'm going out to pay for Disney related movies, right? And like, obviously before the digital era, like my wife used to have these Disney movies that they would say like were going in the vault, right? So Disney would periodically like release a movie and then pull it back off the shelves, right? So you made sure you either got your movie on 4K DVD or you just kind of went to the movies to go see it. And then as you moved up, Disney said, hey, you know what? Like you've been enjoying our movies, you've been enjoying our TV shows. Hey, you know what? We have this subscription service that we think you would love. So boom, here comes something like Disney Plus, right? So now all of a sudden, all of the movies, all of the TV shows that you had a chance to watch, guess what? Now I have a subscription-based service that you can actually obtain all of these content on, right? Again, like I said, it's just moving you up the ladder, moving you up the ladder. Disney merchandise, of course, makes all the sense in the world, right? Because your kids are watching, these cartoons, these movies left and right, left and right. So now all of a sudden, when you go to the stores, the Walmarts, the Targets of the world, and all this here, now you're seeing Disney related merchandise there, right? So now you're picking up Disney related merchandise because the end goal, right, of Disney and the company of Disney is how do I get these folks to come to our parks, right? Like there are people who travel the world, right, to come to Disney parks, right? Because they understand like that is the epic center, right? Like, again, you watch anytime you see a championship celebration, the theme used to be like, I guess I'm going to Disney after this, right? Like it used to be this monumental occasion to go to Disney parks. And at the Disney parks, not only are you going to see all of those TV show characters, all of those movie characters that you saw there, you're going to see plenty of merchandise there, right? And it's just that ambiance of being inside a Disney park, right? And at the end of the day, that's what Disney wants, right? Disney wants you to have the full Disney experience. And if you talk to people who are, Team Disney, right, you don't have that full Disney experience until you go to the parks and immerse yourself at the Magic Kingdom, the Animal Kingdom, the Epcot. Like you don't have that full experience. So that's like, again, that's just Disney's value ladder. And there's a lot of different parts in there moving forward. But as you can see how Disney first started out by just providing you that cartoon, right, that you were just watching or your kids were just watching, and just kind of slowly reeling you in until the point you got to the parks. So let's talk about McDonald's, right? McDonald's is a very interesting one, right? Which may, and the latter aspect of McDonald's may kind of trick people, right? Especially if you're listening to this, you may not wonder like what is the highest aspect of the McDonald's value ladder, but like I want you to kind of go with me. The majority of us who go to McDonald's, enjoy McDonald's, the reason why we started doing this is because as a child, right, a big thing for us was the Happy Meal toys, right? So McDonald's said, you know what? If we provide a toy with the Happy Meal, kids will be excited about eating McDonald's because they know they're going to get the toy. So it's never even really about the actual meal, but it's more about like, how do I get this product here, this free, quote unquote, free product here to children and get kids hooked on it? Because we know if we get kids hooked on the aspect of going to McDonald's and receiving a prize from going to McDonald's, guess what? those kids are eventually going to grow up and they're going to become adults and they're still going to come to McDonald's, right? Which is exactly what happened, right? So as you moved on from getting your Happy Meal toys, and then of course when you're getting your Happy Meal toys, you're getting Happy Meals. Guess what? Your adults had to bring you there. So boom, all of a sudden now there's hamburgers, and then as you move along, you can't have the hamburgers. You remember the campaign Super Size Me, right? So all of a sudden now you're getting fries and drinks with that, and now you're getting a lot of more upper tier items, chicken sandwiches, whatever it is, right? But now you're getting more higher tier items, and those who probably don't realize it, that Disney makes McDonald's makes a boatload of money on the fries, on the drinks, on the upper tier items. Like their profit margin is through the roof. But like that is only small potatoes, because one of the biggest, aspects of McDonald's is real estate, right? Which sounds kind of crazy, right? Which you would think like, all right, that doesn't make any sense. Like, what does a fast food restaurant, care about real estate? But like real estate, and especially when you read some of the documentaries on Ray Kroc, is like that was the biggest endeavor with McDonald's, right? Because all of those areas that you see McDonald's has a location, they own that property that the McDonald's is sitting on. So McDonald's has become one of the more wealthier companies strictly from a real estate portfolio standpoint, right? But again, you can't have an expensive real estate portfolio unless you have a product that people are willing to go to, right? So again, as a kid, it started as the Happy Meal toy, but in the big business world of things, it's like, you know what? Like, how do I expand my real estate empire, right? And I do it by selling hamburgers and fries and drinks at the spots. So a very interesting aspect of, and McDonald's always kind of fool you in that aspect, because it's such a huge, conglomerate in regards to real estate is concerned, that you think it's just like a burger franchise when it's really not. And Apple. And again, for those who don't know, I am Team Apple all the way. And if you remember how Apple started as primarily a hardware related company, right? It had the Apple computer. But as Apple has moved up in the world, and as its customers have moved up in its value ladder, Apple has become this huge conglomerate in regards to software and continuity, right? And continuity is a thing that I always, when I'm talking to my clients, I'm always kind of educating on making sure they have an opportunity for a continuity related program, right? Because that's a good way to make continuous money. So again, think about the Apple computer hardware started old, but as you moved along, all of a sudden it was the iPod, and then the iTunes for music, and then lo and behold, here comes the iPhone, and then guess what? iOS software. And then as we continue to move up this ladder, it's Apple TV, it's the Apple Watch, it's the Apple iPad, the AirPod, it's all of these hardware related things. But at the end of the day, it was because they wanted to make sure that you were so encompassed in the family of Apple that it's almost extreme. Like for those, if you have any Mac lovers in your family, you understand how difficult it is to get them to use something outside of the Mac world, right? Like I could tell you, I have an iPod, I have the iPhone, I have the Apple TV, right? I have an Apple Watch, right? Like I got the AirPod, like I have all of these things there because they just make sense. They talk to each other, and that's what Apple was always banking for, right? Like to the point where like the continuity aspect of Apple, and I kind of mentioned some things here: Apple Music, Apple Plus, Apple One, Apple TV Plus, Apple Arcade, Apple News, Apple Fitness, like everything is Apple related, because it wants to kind of keep you in the world of Apple. And if you're in the world of Apple, you're not going to go outside, to get another product. Or if you do, you're going to notice how inconvenient it is, right? So again, these are, again, every company, you name a company, they have it as well. But this is how companies help move you up the value ladder, because they recognize that, hey, you know what? I may not get a person, to say like, hey, McDonald's provide real estate. Hey, I may not get a person to say Apple, hey, buy all of these products. But like, if I start out early, right? If I get them when it's just iTunes, if I get them when it's just an iPod, if I get them when it's just an iPhone, right? Like if I get them when it's just watching, the Disney Channel on TV, eventually some of them will move up this ladder. And then once they move up the ladder, that's when, the money is there. So, and obviously I like to give some kind of real life examples, right? So let's think about the dentist, right? So you don't have to think about this huge Fortune 500 company. Let's just think about a regular dentist, right? And how could a regular dentist use something like a value ladder in their business, right? So again, obviously I'm biased, right? Like I think, especially when we talk about health related content, providing some type of weekly content, like a weekly vlog, right? Where a dentist is giving, healthy tips on, what to do to, keep the best look and keep your teeth clean. And then maybe they start providing free teeth cleanings in the area. Again, that another way to kind of get you into the office. And then right when you get to the office, they have, ancillary items that they provide, such as like toothbrushes, water picks, teeth whiteners, all these things there that can still be sold within the sphere of the dentist's offices. And then as they move up, all of a sudden, all right, you like their weekly vlog. They got you in by getting the free teeth cleaning. They're giving you some free toothbrushes. You know what? Let me go ahead and work on this treatment plan that this dentist is recommending, right? And when all this is said and done, if I have a select batch of clients within all of that rung, maybe I can persuade some of them to do some cosmetic related procedures, right? That again, that just helps build the balance sheet and increase the profits, right? So again, this is just kind of me spitballing it, but like that's exactly how, if I was a dentist, I would kind of use it, right? And again, maybe a physician, what would a doctor do with this, right? So again, obviously weekly blogs, right? Moving up, maybe they get some books, and maybe they're selling books, maybe selling t-shirts, right? And then as they move up, now they're starting to do more speaking assignments and speaking at conferences and health related events and all these things there, again, to kind of help build that brand, build that trust, build that loyalty. And then as they open up their general practice, guess what? Boom, hey, come to see me. My practice is open. I can tell you, when I was doing outpatient medicine, the amount of people who would come to see me who had already saw either one of my blogs, one of my videos, or read, like the amount of people who had already knew who they were getting as a physician was so much that it made it so much easier. So then when they would come and I would say, hey, your pressure's a little high, your cholesterol, like they understood because I've already established that level of trust for them. And then if I want to move them even higher on the ladder, right, maybe like out of the 50,000, or that's too many, but let's say 5,000 patients I have in my general practice, maybe I open up a concierge related practice as well too, right, for just a select clientele, right? So again, there's so many different ways, right, when we're thinking about the value ladder, how we can encompass it in our business, right? And that's why, again, when we have to, but if you're not thinking about your concierge practice, if you're not thinking about the general practice, if you're not thinking ahead, then your customers don't know what they need either, right? Like, and that's just what it is, right? Like, again, I understand that I may have more people who watch me on YouTube, listen to my podcast, or read the blog. Like, I'm gonna have a lot of people do that, but I may not have that many people who want to join my concierge practice, but I also shouldn't expect it, right? And again, I always think about, as you move up the value ladder, the rung on the value ladder is a little bit shorter, right? Like you shouldn't expect the same amount of people who are able to encompass your weekly blogs and your vlogs and everything else to also get your high-end product. Because if that's the case, guess what? You don't have a high-end enough product, right? Your high-end quote unquote product is too low. So when we talk about implementing a value ladder within our business, I think the most important thing is you got to have some application behind it, right? You have to understand the why and the how. You have to understand why your customer needs you. You have to understand what journey they're going along. And then you have to, more importantly, understand how are you, right? How is your business going to take them along with that journey? But if you don't understand that, if you can't apply that to your business, then you'll never be able to have really an effective value ladder. Automation, I think automation is key. Reason why? Because it establishes a systemic process to move customers up your ladder, right? You have to have a way to move your clients up along this ladder, up along their journey to the end, right? Again, I'm all about empowering yourself for better health, right? So I have to have a way to help educate the people who come in contact with me to help empower themselves for better health, right? I have to have a way to get them to the point where they're listening to me on the podcast, watching me on my YouTube, and then eventually maybe if they're joining my private, consultation, if I was doing that, right? Like I have to be able to do that matter for them. And then really, I think assistance is everything, right? Because time freedom is so key when you're trying to run a business, that if you are not establishing the level of importance associated with your time, like you're going to be lost, right? You're going to be burnt out. And then making sure it's a team effort, right? Again, the amount of business owners that I see try to do this on their own, like it's scary, right? But like it's and I understand why, because again, I used to be the same way, right? Where like I didn't want other people to help me, or more importantly, I thought that I could do all of it myself. But once I understood that being able to teach others within my business to be able to help grow my business without me was key, then like everything else just kind of made sense. And when I think about it in the general terms, right, especially for those business owners, small business owners who are like, you know what, I love what I heard today. I want to start thinking about a value ladder for my business, right? Like think about it in this terms, right? You start out with some free related offers, right? And again, that's just kind of building up the loyalty, building up the trust within your customer's journey. And then you just kind of slowly move along. Maybe you have some front end offers that, again, typically going to be a little bit more expensive or just charging in general than your free offers. But again, it helps establish that trust, right? Because a person who will spend $1 with you trusts you, right? Again, you can watch me on YouTube, listen to me on podcasts all day, right? But if I have a t-shirt to sell, right, and you don't buy a t-shirt from me, that means you don't necessarily trust me that much, or that like you're not the customer that I'm looking for, which is okay, right? Because again, I already understand that I'm going to have plenty of people who will listen to the podcast, watch me on YouTube, and never actually purchase a product, and that's great. Like, because as long as they're promoting, they're sharing, they're liking, then that's their job, right? Because I'm going to have other people who buy t-shirts, buy books, or like I'm going to have other people who do that. And then as you move them up a ladder and you're giving them a front end offer, moving them up this aspect of like, all right, what can I provide next, right? Like, and that's why when I talked about understanding the how and the why, you have to understand that for your client to get from point A to point B, there's certain steps along the way. And typically your client does not know what those steps are. But if you are the business owner, you need to be able to fill those steps in for your client, really to kind of get them, the best, out of them that you can, right? And that's really the goal for me, just understanding one, like the importance of a value ladder, right? Like I think that's, again, if you can just think about your best favorite business that you have right now, and ask yourself like, I wonder what so and so's business value ladder is, right? And if you don't know it, or that business isn't really articulating it well, then they're likely going to have roadblocks in their journey, right? Because again, like for you to move up, for you to scale up as a business, you got to be able to plan ahead, establish a framework within your business. Like I said, it's not, and again, especially when we think about the higher end level, just having the opportunity there is sometimes enough. Like there's so many business owners that go through what I call kind of a perfection paralysis, right? Like if everything is not perfectly ready to go, that they won't do it. And the amount of people who end up not doing what they need to do because of that, right? Like they won't even start because it's not perfect all the way. It's frightening, but it happens too much. And again, like I kind of mentioned, right, allows business owners to become unstuck, right? Whenever I talk to one of my consultation clients, and they say like, I'm not sure what I need to do next, right? I always say like, what is in your value ladder? I always ask them that, because when you have trouble, of what to provide next for your client, that typically means that you don't have your value ladder really thought out as well as it could. And then customer retention, because again, we all know it is much cheaper to retain your customer and then have them buy, more items off of you than to try to get a new customer from off the street. That's always the case, right? And again, bottom line, right? Increase that profit, right? If you want, the highest availability of profit amongst your your clients, your patients, whoever that is. Like, you got to be able to do that with a value ladder and that importance, right? So again, like I said, it's definitely one of the more important foundational topics when we think about business. And understanding that when we think about business, when we're thinking about these value ladders and automations and increasing our profit, we have to be able to drive our customer throughout their journey. Because again, your customer is bewildered, they're lost, they're confused, but it's really up to you as a business owner to get them to that next level. Right. So I am yours truly again, Dr. Barry Pierre. Again, I appreciate you guys for joining. Like I said, we only do this one podcast episode out of the month. So again, every first of the month is when we're dropping kind of these business related discussions. If we get enough, like, because I know a lot of people love Dr. Melva's episode. And we get enough people who say like, oh, I love Dr. Barry when you do these kind of business related discussions. Like, I'll think of a way. If I got to do like a separate podcast, I'll do that. Like, I'm totally fine with that. But I definitely wanted to start incorporating the aspect of business discussion within kind of the Lunch and Learn community, because I think it's extremely important. And plus, I know I have a lot of health professionals. Fortunately, I'm glad that even though I talk a lot of health related education and everything, I got a lot of health related professionals, business professionals just kind of watch me anyways, right? So now you can listen to me for some health related topics as well as some business related topics as well, man. So again, I am yours truly, Dr. Barry Pierre, and I'm gonna see you guys next week.